For the AI art of the week this week, I'm going to start with this stable diffusion photo of Michelangelo's sculpture wearing headphones. And I think the most impressive image I would say would be this sixth one down on the right, because you have a really beautiful image of the statue and a very realistic seeming headphone. And while I do want to celebrate how accurate this is, we can point out that, for example, the hair isn't being trampled by the headphone, so it's not entirely perfect. And if you reference an image of David, a lot of these statues are looking older than him, except for maybe the one on the top left and middle left. So there's some slight inaccuracies in terms of the face and the age of the face, but in general, it does the headphones really well. And some of these images are quite exceptional, like this one. Others fail a bit. This one in the middle looks a bit more like a death mask, but overall, you can see the progress. I remember doing photos of people with headphones a few months back, and it really struggled. But some of these images are really quite accurate and impressive. For my next image, I want to turn to this one. It's from Midjourney, and it's Snoop Dogg as a Jedi. And I think that's pretty impressive. Obviously, it's been upscaled more than the other images, so there's more detail here. And I must say, I do find Midjourney version 4 to be highly impressive at these photorealistic portrait style images, particularly of really well-known celebrities for whom there are many, many photos in the database. Again, not going into ethics here today. I've done other videos on that to check out, but just in terms of the beauty of the image, that's pretty impressive. We can zoom in here and really good detail of the eyes. Now, actually just noticing the glasses on the right don't seem to be fully finished, but not bad overall. Really captures the imagination of him as a Jedi. The lightsaber, maybe needs some work, but not bad. Next one, him as a superhero of some sort. You can guess the connotation going on here. Obviously, there are problems, and we all know that these programs tend to struggle with text generation, at the moment at least. Who knows, I might do a video in a month and it can render text perfectly. But at the moment, Midjourney does struggle, and Stable Diffusion, with generating text. And we've got that issue down here. And with the pendant, I think, is it going for text? No, maybe not. Notice as well the sharpness of lines, straight lines, when we're looking at shapes. Some of the lines fairly straight, others pretty curvy. It struggles with straight lines for sure. Overall though, I think you've got to admit that would be a fairly acceptable image. And again, if you look at the mask kind of merges in with his eyes, and then there's a slight gap here. So there are some issues, but overall, really not bad. Okay, next image. I wanted to pick this one out because it shows both the beauty of what AI can produce and also some of the problems with it in terms of fidelity. So let's take the image in the top left. It's talking about a blue sky and a ship sailing, and the user didn't prompt terribly accurately in terms of what type of ship, so the AI is left to imagine. What are the issues here? I would say the ship seems to be sort of standing on the sea rather than going through it. And also, the sea looks a little cloudy. You might notice that theme in some of the other versions. This one, again, the sea, pretty cloudy. Okay, and some random stuff going on in the sky here, not quite sure what's going on. Obviously, you could get rid of that in Photoshop, but it would take more work. Great overall. Again, a slight issue with one of the sails. Not quite sure what's going on with the sail here. This one's not bad. Sky, beautiful, very clearly distinct from the sea. The only issue is now the ship seems to be fairly indistinct. Not really a ship, I must say. So you can see the amazing pros and cons with this approach. The ship is a bit more modern here in terms of its hull, but the sails are still there, so it's kind of a contradiction. And also, one of the clouds seems to have its own sail. A slight problem here. This one, very gorgeous, and no immediate problems I can see. Not bad. And then we can carry on. I think one of them, I remember this one. There's no real distinction between the sea and the clouds. Maybe that was on purpose. If you can say anything that the AI does is on purpose. It does create an interesting artistic effect, but not too accurate. Okay, 4 more images for you. The next one is a colony on Mars generated by Midjourney. And I think this one's incredible. Look at the detail in these pods, and that really fits with what I would imagine things to be like. Obviously, you could nitpick and say, is this a vehicle merging with the building? I'm not quite sure. And you've got this rock in the foreground, but really, that's pretty incredible. Even the humans are to scale. Really good here. This one, I think, is good for a different reason. It's just incredibly beautiful to look at. I'm not talking high accuracy or anything, but it's a very classic image of art, sunrise, and I think it's done incredibly well. I was really impressed by this. Look at the light rays coming in. Not all of them are perfectly aligned with the sun, I don't think, but really good overall. How about this one? This was given as an enchanted bonsai tree. And I'm really impressed with the detail here of some of the branches. This was upscaled to the max, I believe. And again, we're not talking about photorealism, but the overall effect, I feel, is very true to the prompt of an enchanted bonsai tree. And for one final image I want to show you, here it is. This is an image I generated. And I did St. Paul carrying the keys to heaven as a portrait in the style of Caravaggio, and I upscaled it to the max using Midjourney. First, I think it's just an incredible image. It's captured the fact that St. Paul is depicted always as being bald with a big beard, so it really caught onto that. Previous versions couldn't. Notice that I said portrait, and it's done it in this modern style where we can almost imagine ourselves in the kitchen. And if I scroll down a bit here, you can see how it's rendered the table in front of the image in a modern way, which doesn't quite fit with a portrait in the era of Caravaggio, but I like the originality at least. Of course, we can all point out the problem, which is the fingers. The fingers are mangled, I would say, at best. And there we have it, the amazing things that AI can currently do and the pitfalls it currently has in terms of fidelity. These were my choices for the AI art of the week. Let me know what you think in the comments.